important quote that's actually from the Bible and mentioned in many other areas as well, that the only thing needed for evil to prevail.
Welcome live to the Tryp Funeral. Taha Abassi outing the company, exposing the frauds, McNulty and Co. So it's live right now.
They try to come after me with lawsuits, but should I be afraid of doing the right thing? Absolutely not. They need to know who they're dealing with. They're dealing with the truth and they're dealing with justice. And they're going to have to answer for their actions, right? So with that, I'm actually going to share a few more things and then we kind of get into Q&As. And so look at, this is the chief this is the chief strategy officer at Avalar. I reached out to him as well, asking him for his feedback regarding what he thought about his experience working with me. So I'm going to share the screen over here, and then I'll kind of move on to some of the other things after that. So you can see over here as well, he's also saying, I'll make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. He's saying that
morning. Mega Slob's in the house, Jenner's in the slot, Disma's in the house, Garcia's in the house. We're at the Sunday, we're at the Tryp Funeral.
Some of those videos I'm not sharing right now because I haven't asked to be able to share those publicly. Here's the executive vice president at Avalar. Again, the company that in these blogs are claiming that I screwed over.
How many people were there in the company?
There were over 1,000 people in this company. It's like not one of them will back up what they're saying, right? It's like there'll be a line of people coming out representing the truth for what it is, which is that even in a time where this company was suffering severely, I dealt with the company and its issues with integrity and helped the company through a very, very difficult time.
Rest in peace, Tryp.
She's again upset about
may other good rideshare companies emerge from the ashes. Rest in peace, Tryp. May other great companies emerge from the ashes and take on
one more video on this topic, and then we'll move on to some of the other things that are a bit more important. So this is from John James, who served as the chief
Dark Road Run. Is Dark Road Run, are you live?
Get the point. It's a 3-minute video. I'll play this one. I'll move on so that those people watching on the recording can know that it's on record.
Hey folks, my name is John James, and I'm recording this video for a former colleague of mine named Taha Abassi. Taha and
Tryp is a joke, man.
Working together at a startup about 2 years ago, and I was a C-level executive there and was a part of the recruiting committee when we needed a CTO, and we actually hired out a third-party recruiting firm that went through an exhaustive search nationally and put a group of people through a pretty rigorous process. And I can't tell you how impressed we were with.
He just responded responded to my message in the live feed. That's from them directly, saying, you asked what they threatened. This is it. They went after my family, my wife, my sister, my brother-in-law, and innocent people. We hope justice will be served. We're gonna fucking crush these guys. They have no idea. I'm excited to get involved in this. Oh, yours was good.
In addition to that, through my time working with Taha, I can't tell you how impressed I was.
That's Dark Road Run there. And he did. I just found his live feed. And check out this guy, dude. He knows his tech, man. He sets up a little office table with them. He's in the room with them and he's playing the music. Imagine all the people that got affected by Tryp. I can't do DRR, man. There's only one. The one and only can only do DRR. Subscribe to his channel. He's in the house right now. The famous, the one and only Dark Road Run. Go and subscribe right now. I mean, I waited for your live feed to be over Dark Road Run. I didn't want to jump in and do an overlay, so I waited for him to finish up and then I came out. But that's hilarious stuff. Let's just jump back to
some serious technological issues that our organization had. And above that, like
they are scared, they are afraid. Robert McNulty is so afraid right now. No integrity.
And I'm a busy guy. It's the only reason.
No integrity at
taking my
Tryp.
time to record this video.
What's up, Sam? Patrick?
It really irritates me.
Guys are at the Tryp Funeral.
business world.
We're putting the company to rest.
Spreading lies.
We're at the Tryp Funeral. Happy Sunday, everyone. Rideshare Geek. Happy Easter, bro. Happy Easter. Let me see if there is a Easter basket here.
And in fact, one of the executives from this company.
Happy Easter, everyone.
On LinkedIn.
Happy Easter basket for you guys. Anybody want a chocolate, a Cadbury's chocolate? Here we go.
And so I came to find out that they were digging around trying to pull up trash on Taha. But these are the kind of guys that he's unfortunately gotten caught up with. And
don't worry, Taha.
Honest guys, not good business people, not the kind of people that you want to do business with. Anyway, Taha, I hope things resolve themselves quickly for you, and this is helpful for you.
Guys, if you want to, so he mentioned one of the guys reached out to him on LinkedIn, if you noticed that. So those of you who are confused about is Tryp really doing this or not, now I'm not going to go out and say anything that's not factual. I'm just going to this blog. He mentioned that the person trying to reach out to him was an executive from Tryp. Here's your awesome Mr. Bill Crosby right here. See him smiling. Senior Vice President, Strategy and Growth of Tryp Rides, trying to reach out to John to ask about.
Try to set him up. Slap him down, Bill Crosby. Don't let me ever come across you. Give you a good South African PK.
And the response was this, that no one, not one person would give them dirt because there was none to be found. So when you can't dig up.
Desperate people do desperate things, Tryp. Welcome to the funeral, the Tryp Funeral. Cadbury eggs are the best.
The only person in our company,
this is my favorite too.
At the time, who had the capabilities of such things, of writing those blogs. Oh yeah, from a skill standpoint. So again, like Bill is the one reaching out. So if you ask the question like, who has the capability and the skills at Tryp to write these blogs, right? So let's go back to why we actually hired Bill Crosby as a person in the company. So if you kind of look at it, if you search for Tryp Rides on Google, one of the top websites that comes up is Tryp Rideshare Info. That's why we hired Bill Crosby. We hired him because he has the ability to write blogs and SEO and articles, right? And so we hired him. And if you're confused about who owns this website, I'm going to show you a little trick and which will refute another thing, but which they claim. They claim that I don't know how to program. Well, Bill, I'm about to find out live on a call who owns this website and who are the users, right? So as you can see on my screen, I'll kind of pull this over here. This is the website, tryprideshare.info. And we're going to find out who are the users that own this website. Now, this is why we hired Bill, because he can write things that end up really well in Google. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. And I'm going to do a scan on this website to identify the users of this website. So we're doing a random
onto Uber
scan right now.
No C's milk,
it's a WordPress website. It's a WordPress framework. And he hasn't protected it against.
You guys all staying safe?
For scans like this one.
Tryp never left the garage, Uberman Tampa.
Infiltrate the website to find out details about it.
Man, I got attacked when I went full frontal with these guys last year. Boy, man, they came. They had all these Miami thugs come after me, but here, club them out one by one. Just use their same methods. Just turned the mirror on them. I had behind the scenes, just so that you know, I had a lot of dirty thugs from Miami come after me. I'm like, game on. 1 against 5, right? And picked them apart online, and then they realized, shit, they're dealing with the wrong guy, and they backed off. To the point where I brought the fight to them, to Miami, and I had one of the main culprits apologize to me at the end of the day. I had the company apologize because took the fight to their doorstep from California.
John James just talked about
so
how
you got
Bill tried to reach out to him, and right here, we're dealing with an piece of evidence where Bill is reaching out to John James on LinkedIn, and then right here, the day before, Red is sending a message to Bill Crosby on the phone saying, I sent it to you, make sure a better story. And then over here it talks about
who's Rhett McNulty? Who's Rhett McNulty? Give me that name.
Saying a lot of stuff is being dug up. So you can.
Where's Rhett McNulty? I've never heard that name. Is it Bob McNulty's son?
The evidence speaks for itself, right? Now, this is probably a good time to revisit that voicemail. And real quick, before we actually do that,
show the email between Rhett and Munib saying Bill's expertise.
Oh, right. So that's really important. Yeah, those expertise. So in many calls, yeah, especially in the last few calls, and let me make sure that I stop the screen share so you guys can look at us for this. So in the last few calls, the claim has been the app's moving full speed ahead. Everything's going great. In fact, this has been claimed multiple times, right? Since
We're ahead of schedule for the first.
we're ahead of schedule for the first time. It's like it's so condescending to the people that actually show up for those calls and spend the time to keep up to date because they want true information.
And amidst this whole COVID thing, like it's been such an excuse to just like keep stringing it along without any sort of actual like progress.
Right. So I'll share again another piece of evidence where let's kind of get into this. This is an email where Red is communicating with Munib and myself to negotiate the transfer of the code of the app after the payment is made. So the reality is that they don't have.
So the main players we need to go after are Eric, Rhett,
they don't have
and Bob McNulty.
But there's a new fancy website.
Who's Rhett McNulty?
And that's going to look great, and it's going to be another distraction like this one. This is something that we found Tryp to be really good at.
He's learned from his father. That's the problem, you see.
So they'll put out something that completely distracts from actually building the app. So this is basically what this is because they haven't paid the bill to the development team, they can't get access to live data that submits it over. This is a spreadsheet dumped into this tool. This tool is not bad. I'm not saying this tool is bad. The company that actually put it up might be a great company. But they literally just uploaded a spreadsheet in Florida, how many people are enabled.
Right. And Bob's explicitly been saying that the tech's in Bill's hands now, and then it's in great hands, that we're ahead of schedule. Well, what tech are you talking about, man? Like the market tracker? Like what's the freaking app?
They're gonna. You don't be surprised if in like a few weeks, what they're gonna end up showing is one of two things, right? It's probably gonna be a new website that comes out that distracts people again. It's like, oh look, this is what we've been working on, and it's just a website, right? Or what they showed previously was essentially Figma, right? They showed designs of the app. They'll put together like an app with somewhat of like minimal cost. That would be a miracle if they can do that, by the way. But it's possible to put together an app with minimal cost and pretend that they can handle the scale. Now, you decide who you want to believe. Someone who's had experience and built. Look up my experience.
Ego. He's like, look what I did. Look what I did. Don't worry about your credibility. Attack their credibility, right? He's spending too much time. This is what they did. Don't get your own egos involved here. Step outside of the box, right? And point at the troublemakers. What did Rhett McNulty do? What did Rob McNulty do? What did Eric do? What did Bishop do?
Sleeping in beanbags that were in the office for a couple hours at a time to try to get a little snooze in and catch some Z's before they started their next 20-hour shift. Like, these guys, there were 7 or 8 of them working around the clock to try to get this out. Uber just fired 1,000 employees. How can we build a company to scale with 7 people? The fact that they hadn't paid that money to the technology team that they owed meant that we couldn't scale the company to be able to support the throughput and the volume that we needed to open a market.
It's just how
so they blame it on technology. The money was never there to pay technology to scale the team. To build an app that was
Kyle Smelts. Tryp is a
you can't,
multi-level marketing,
no way to get around the level of
fraudulent rideshare company.
That it feels like gets peddled around because they're like, man, it's how much more can you sort of continue to go away from what's true, right? And so let's get into. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this email, and this is really important because you're being told that the app is being built right now, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen.
They're reading the messages, and the one
guys,
he's looking up evidence, and the other guy is reading the messages.
Subscribe to our channel so more people can actually get visibility to what's happening right now. So there's a like button on the video. Make sure you hit like over there, subscribe to the channel, and share this video on Facebook, so on and so forth, right? So this is an email from February 13th. So let me pull up the right email here.
Nifty 50, how are you? Pseudo company, James Wakasis, busted and not trusted. Busted and not trusted.
Okay.
I'm already
right here.
Out of my quarantine snacks, but it's Easter, so I got a fresh supply of snacks, right? I was out of my quarantine snacks, and now I got fresh new snacks.
Operating officer at Tryp, And he
But I'm not going to eat all that sugar. That's just show. I don't like sugar at all.
For the code after Tryp pays for the money. So Tryp says,
And this was after we found out about
It's true.
oh yeah, this is after. So
Tim says, don't even give them that title, Thorsten, because they were never a rideshare company. That's true. I mean, they were a multi-level marketing Ponzi scheme. Let's leave it at that. Okay, fair. They were trying to attach rideshare to MLM.
Integrity that we operate with, right? These guys are attacking my family, and I'm going about it the legal way. Now is the time for me to speak up. I'm going about it the legal way to take action against them. But in the meantime, I'm still fulfilling my responsibility to help them get the code of the app over as long as I pay the bill. And so this is him emailing saying Tryp is in the midst of hiring. I'll make this a little bit bigger and move it towards the top of the screen so you guys can read easily. Okay, there we go. So it says Tryp is in the midst of hiring a technical lead due to the fact that we currently don't have a team member who can reliably advise the company on technology. We are looking to hold on entering escrow. Escrow is where where the software company will put the code into an escrow, and then Tryp will put money into escrow. And once everything's verified over, at that point, the code is released to Tryp and the money is released to the software company. Simple process, something that's dealt with in many contracts, right? So
right, Geek, thank you.
Once that person is added to the team, we will ask them to join the existing conversation around escrow and assist in the technical conversation. We will keep you updated on the addition of this team member. Now, this is 11th of March. Now, check this out. Over here, they're claiming they don't have anybody technical to advise them. But then, goes on to say, check this out. Goes on to say, I'm going to go to the next email where, right here, where Munib had emailed him out because he had seen on the call, and this is, let's pull up the date on this email. So on March 27th, there was a call on March 26th. So you guys can take a look at this. On the 26th of March, and I'll play the video here shortly as well, where Tryp says, when he was referring to what
drivers, start your engines. They never got to say that. I like that moment. Funny. We're having fun, man. Never had fun at a funeral. Funerals are usually drab. Funerals are really sad. On Easter, we all here at the Tryp Funeral. Rhett, Bob, Eric, the frauds company is set to rest. Said it from day one. And I was one of the first people to be very vocal about this. And I was attacked relentlessly on the internet by these frauds, especially the thugs over in Miami. But sort of find out who all the key players were, what all their websites were, did background checks on them, looked at what, got all their details, their addresses and everything, and then took about a month or so and then took the battle to them and started pounding them, really making them look like assholes. All guys involved in Bitcoin frauds. I mean, they're involved in so much fraudulent activity, and you just got to go club. You got to club them out. Like Mark Roughton says, you got to take the hammer and you're going to go bang, bang, bang. It's easier to do that with a company like Tryp, but you know, when you're up against a huge Uber or Lyft, I now have to set up another Twitter account because Twitter shut down my account because I was relentlessly attacking them. So obviously that tells me that people at Uber or Lyft have a relationship maybe with a guy at Twitter. You know, what's his name? Gorsi or whatever his name is. So they shut down my Twitter account, but I'll be back up on Monday. Set up a new one and carry on. If that's shut down, I'll set up the next one. If that's shut down, I'll set up the next one.
So what is going on here? Are you planning on paying for the apps and services?
Is anybody from Tryp signing up from unemployment?
You don't have somebody guide you when you already are testing the new apps.
Right.
Problem is you can't show any income, so it's nothing there. You're not going to qualify for unemployment.
Either are you lying to the users on Thursday night when you're telling them that you're testing new apps and you don't really have new apps? Or are you lying to us by saying you plan to pay us when you don't plan to pay us because you've actually already got and started building new apps? And the reason he was worried about this is, again, if you go back to the history, previously Tryp actually owed the previous software development company, and you can see this over here. I'll zoom into this.
So the smart thing is they took a lot of the info. I mean, they have a lot of good, credible information that they can use in court, right?
From there, I believe it was their CTO, George, from a company called Mac App Studio. And look at this quote. How sad is this? I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so you guys can see. It says that Tryp owed them over $100,000 and still, to my knowledge, has not paid them, right? It's just insane how many people you can go around and not pay. So it says here, you want to read that part?
Yeah, we're a startup company, just like you, and the pending payments of over $100,000.
Owe them $100,000.
Hurt you or any other startup company, and the livelihood of more than 100 innocent families depending on our company. I barely own.
Well, those are the guys that'll obviously join the suit against Tryp. I'll join it too. I mean, they owe me $149, but I signed up to get into their back room to see what's happening behind the scenes. I didn't expect to make a cent, but I wanted information on the inside, or like what is their MLM setup like? How are they conning the people in? What promises are they making?
One of the things in my observation, like to file this lawsuit cost tens of thousands of
Tripping
dollars
out
already just to file it, and I'll share the lawsuit a little bit later. Well in the numbers of what most people make in a year as a salary over here, right? So when you think about that, how can a driver go up against them to fight for their rights? It's insane. And
that's why they've gotten away with this kind of stuff for so long. And there's a history of this happening with Bob, and it's all documented.
History with Bob.
Court documents, there's articles.
I've made the video.
About his run-ins with these kind of legal matters in the past, the SEC. And
he's running with the SEC. I've said all of this shit right in the beginning. Why is not anybody listening? They're exposing Tryp, the fraudulent MLM Ponzi scheme wannabe rideshare company that signed up thousands of drivers and took their money and did not deliver. And it's based on a couple of corrupt people, Bob McNulty, Rhett, and Eric, who have a history. Bob McNulty has a history of doing this. He screwed over the SEC. He got massive fines. He's had tons of lawsuits against him.
And so Munib is questioning him on that. And
it's all a pack of cards.
Specific item, right? So he says, we are doing all right over here. Thanks for asking. I hope the team and families are okay. So he's being, Red is very business-like.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah, very diplomatic. So he goes on to say, as far as what I have communicated is true, meaning that they need a new technical lead. They don't have someone reliable who can advise them on that. He goes on to say, now check this out. Technology under control. And then he goes on to say, this is Bob, the Chief Operating Officer of Tryp, saying, Tryp does not have a team member that is technical enough in nature to advise on the system that FundBuy was contracted to build. If you are implying that Bill is that person, it's best to confirm with Taha that Bill is a marketer with project management capabilities. Look at this part. If you are implying that Bill is that person, the technical lead, he is a marketer with project management capabilities. So just let that settle in for a second. This is the person that Bob is saying he's got technology under control. And this is something I know to be true. Bill is really good at SEO. You can see from the stuff that he's put out. Those really good.
Teddy says Bob McNulty ran into serious trouble with the SEC. He does a common thing. He just changes the names of the company. He opens up one company after the other. Sits down there in Orange County. I went and checked out his house the one time. I wanted to see where this guy lives. Right? You got to know the players that you might be up against. Right? He's down there in the OC. Like father, like son. Bob and Rhett, cut from the same cloth. Right?
That, and I just thought of, did he call you asking like how to find bugs in the app, or like where those were written out? And I mean, it's all in a lot.
Oh yeah, I have messages from Bill asking me about advice on how to figure the system out. If you're so technically capable, you should be able to figure it out, right? So
it's like telling someone to just open a book,
right?
If you want to read, just open the book.
Exactly. Now we go on to say though further that
they never had any of the licenses in any of the states. Nothing. They said they did. They said they had the insurances. It was all just a big front scam that people were buying into. These guys are going down heavy. There's a big lawsuits taking place here, right? You multiply a few thousand drivers. You want to get an idea on how many you're talking about, right? All you have to really do is go. This is the way you calculate how many members they approximately have. You go to Facebook. You look up the main Tryp Facebook room. And you see how many people are registered. That's usually 1/3 of the amount, roughly 1/3 of the amount will register on Facebook. So of the actual users. So my guess is there's about probably like 2,000 or so registered on Facebook. and I'm pretty sure about 6,000 people signed up. So you take 6,000 times a minimum of $149. Who's this here?
Bill's been hitting that up, as you guys know.
So this is the old fraud over here.
Way under control.
He looks very sick and ill. I'm not surprised if he looks in bad shape. But who are the other two?
But we'll clearly be ready to go.
He's got his Tryp cap in, so he's all in. This Mr. Fraud here, who's he?
On time, and it's all looking pretty good right now.
It's all looking pretty good.
No, I'm like you said, Bob. I'm cranking away on it. Looks like it's moving along pretty well, so we're pretty excited. You know, the bigger thing is that, you know, hopefully we're not sitting with a great ad in our hands and no markets to go to because nothing's open.
Awesome, right?
Bob, I think that just about covers everything. A couple people were asking just for more of an update, which Bob did give an update earlier of what is going on with Tryp. That we're knee deep into the development of the new apps. That's coming along very well. It's on we're not at all behind on it. We're actually probably ahead on our development cycle on that, which is really good and different for us all.
Yeah, we might. You know, we're testing the apps currently right now, so they know that we're in testing mode right now with the apps. So yeah, it's something different, right? We're ahead of schedule.
Ahead of schedule.
Definitely something.
Definitely.
So just imagine, guys, like literally I mean, I don't even have to say anything. We're testing the apps currently right now. We're ahead of schedule. We're great. And then
who's testing the apps? Because the only person that I know that's capable of testing the app and still with the company is Eric. He's in California. So no one's in New York. No one's in Miami. Vincent's in Miami, but I never did any UAT with Vincent.
Who's
the
Vincent?
only people that know how to do UAT in the company was Nick, myself, Jeremy Adamson, and Eric.
By the way, Jeremy Adamson left.
At the same time, the entire technology team basically was left with me, right? So the project managers, the engineers, developers, business analytics managers, and the UAT folks. Nick, the only person left was Eric, and I know he's not testing the app, and we'll talk about that. You want to send me that text message again from Eric, where he talked about whether he's testing the app or not recently? We'll share that here in a second.
And I sat in the meeting with these frauds right in the beginning. They tried to bring me in as the spokesman. So they started taking pictures with me, and they immediately put it out on the internet saying that I endorsed the company. I then fired back and I said, no. There's no endorsement. Just because you have me listening to you guys is not an endorsement. So I got really, really upset about that, right? And I knew the moment I was there in that first meeting, except for the poor guy that referred me and took me there, Eduardo. He was one of the drivers who got sucked in. He says, Torsten, I'll drive you down there. You got to listen to these guys. I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to these guys because you know, let's see what they're about. Maybe they turn out to be a legitimate rideshare company. I was there for about 90 minutes, right? Bishop, fraud. Eric, fraud. Few other people walking into the room in hired offices, just a fictitious little bullshit setup where they said, oh, this is our office here in Orange County. It was all bullshit. They just rented the room for an hour. And then when they went over the hour, they got a little bit stressed because now they have to pay for the second hour, right? They're fucking cheap asses, man. This is what they are. And they took pictures with me saying, somewhere the pictures are somewhere. Eduardo, you owe me a phone call, brother. You owe me a huge apology. Right? I told you from the beginning they're fraud. No, they're not frauds. They're not. I said, told you they're frauds. The first meeting with these guys, if you know how to sniff out frauds, it's easy.
I mean, it's about sharing the truth. This is not to say
they're still not paying employees, so that's the point. Like, you're not testing the app. No one's testing the app because they're not paying anybody at the company.
Right. And then they still haven't answered this question, by the way. And then
what's the fraud? It's easy. It's very simple. They set up an MLM, multi-level marketing Ponzi scheme where you bring in one person who pays and you use that money or use that person to recruit the recruit. And if sort of like if there are any earnings, there were none, you start paying out people with the monies you make on the one. It's a giant pack of cards.
So for those of you who are still tuning in, we have
thumbs up.
Questions that we wanted to answer.
I know, Mark. Sorry, on the one channel, there's definitely an echo.
Some of these other items related to, why we actually joined the company, what we saw change.
And I've confronted this Rob guy many a times, not personally, and Rhett, but they're too chicken shit to fight back because they know they're going to get pounded. Only guys that were who felt that they were bold to fight were the guys in Miami because they were 10 states away.
And
one thing that we definitely need to talk about is one investor, I won't mention names, reached out to us specifically. This person in August invested in the company at 75 cents a share. Well, there are 122 million shares. So 122 million times 75 cents a share puts the company at a $91.5 million valuation. After that point, investors who came onto the company were buying shares at 50 cents a share, which was, I believe, roughly $69 million valuation. So the person who invested prior was investing at a valuation that was about 50% higher. And after, people came in and paid a lot less. And it's securities law that says that you have to notify people who invested prior that other people are investing at cheaper prices. It's called warning people of dilution.
right.
So if you don't, that's illegal. And this person never got any notification from Bob or anybody else at the company that they've been diluted. So that's security fraud that actually happened.
Just to give you context on what Nick just said, that's like, imagine you invested $100,000 in a company. And then
So obviously,
later, the company
not only
was
did they get
funded,
all
the
these
valuation was $1 million.
drivers,
And when the
but
company needed
they've
to raise
obviously
money
taken
for
a
the
lot
next
of
time around,
investors
they had
for
to
a big
reduce the
ride,
valuation
right?
because people didn't want to
So they
put
build
in
up this
that,
fictitious
money
front
that
and then
was
start
more
bringing the
than
real
$100,000
money in from the
valuation
investors.
of
And that's what he's known for.
Well, the previous person that put in 100,000, their 100K instead of going up, now is worth half that. So they just lost 50K, right? So that's sort of like same way as like if you buy stocks in the stock market at $20 a stock, and then all of a sudden the stock drops to half. That's what had happened over here, and it's not the exact math. Now I'm sharing that, so I'm also talking about we don't want to say things that are just hearsay. So I'm going to show you an email that talks about this specifically, right? So if you look at our screen right now, and I'll go into this is actually pretty insane. So like we're talking about investor related items.
Tryp.
Okay, so this is what I'm sharing on the screen. It will show how Bob treated investors, right? So
We flushed them. Remember, we flushed Eric Retton.
Professor, not yet, but probably should be. We're trying to figure out.
He's talking about me now.
Professor, we're trying to figure out good ways to sort of get the word out. This is our first attempt. I think we're going to do more things to get the word out. I do expect retaliation, but we're putting out the facts. All this stuff that I'm sharing on the screen, you can go to it. Go to TRYPFRAUDS.com. We'll actually add another page by tonight. I'll have resources. You can go to it right away, and you can see this all for yourself, right? There's no way they can get away from this. In this one, this is an investor, a venture capitalist. By the way, this is back in April of 2019, right? So in 2019, these guys were trying to raise money at a valuation of $80 million. Now, understand what that means. So for those of you who understand startups, and Jerry, this is a little bit of the reason why, in my opinion, there's no way Tryp can raise any more money. In other words, Tryp
They won't raise any more money. We'll make damn sure about
the
that.
valuation is so high. It's something called a runaway valuation. So this is a point where the company didn't have an app. It didn't have any production rights. It actually, in April, Tryp had missed payroll for 2 pay periods.
Investors do their research.
As far as I could tell, right? Why else would you miss payroll? And it was representing to investors that it's a company that's worth $80 million. Can you imagine? 67 cents a share was the price. And at that time, that would add up to 122 million shares in circulation. Okay. In August, much later, they raised money from an investor at a valuation of $90 million, at a valuation of $91.5 million.
I typed in on their channel. We're holding their Tryp Funeral over on this side. We have a lot of people at the funeral. Dennis Torres, my brother.
If they do, then we'll bring them on to speak from their own perspective about what they were told in Miami right after.
You see their faces, you know their names, why they're not in jail. Oh, you mean, well, these guys left, honestly, these guys made the smartest move. They got lured in, right, to solve technical issues. He never got paid. He left months ago, contacted me via email, asked me a couple of questions, and I said, listen, just
So right here,
low profile, get legal help and everything, and they've done. And now they're out there. They lawyered up. They've spent a few 10,000 on attorney fees. Now they have a class action. They have a good class action. They have all the evidence in the world. The smart thing is they have kept all the evidence. The best thing they did when they walked out is they just made copies of all the evidence. These guys are done. Rhett, Bob, Eric, and all of that. They'll go to jail over this.
This is a startup that's going to make $247 million in the first year.
You're a unicorn.
We're exposing the frauds.
Apple didn't even hit $100 million until year 4.
We're exposing
Most profitable company
Eric,
we know of. It takes
Rhett,
a decade,
Bob,
decades to
and
kind of
Bishop.
achieve it.
The frauds that were selling a pipe dream.
This is a company,
Yeah.
Apple, at many points, perhaps even right now, had more cash reserves than the United States government.
Disinfectant spray.
That company, which is one of the largest companies in the world, in terms of
Spray them
market
down.
cap, took 4 years to reach 100 million. And here, Bob McNulty is sending an email to an investor claiming that he's going to make 247 million in the first year. So can you imagine what investors thought when they see this?
Yeah, if you're a savvy investor, you're saying you're out of your mind.
You're out of your mind.
So who do you go to when you
Too good to be true.
venture capitalists to invest in your company? You just got to go to high net worth individuals. And the cap table for the company was about 80 people, I think.
It's over 50 for sure that we know of.
Yeah.
So what that means is basically they
We're
have
hustling
they
private
have-
investors.
because venture capitalists who typically invest in startups or savvy investors would ask you these questions that this person asked Bob, because Bob didn't like answering those questions because it would then be like, well, you don't have an app, you're not launched,
You have nothing.
you're out of money, so your valuation should be more, instead of 80 million, it should be more like maybe 5 to 10 million at most. At most. When they would ask these questions, Bob, this is how you would treat investors. So take a look at this. This is Bob's email. By the way, this guy is an asshole. Take
because
that
he was asking.
because he's asking good questions.
I mean, you're gonna.
Guy's an asshole because he's asking good questions.
Your money is in a sound investment. I mean, the guy was just doing his homework, but he's an asshole because
He asked questions that didn't fit the narrative that Bob
It's
wanted to put.
inconsistent
It's a
with
genuine question. If I
the
was gonna
deck.
put in money
David J, I appreciate you.
I want to know, like, hey, what is your valuation? What is your stock? How are you just?
I mean, the investors asking legitimate questions, and Bob McNulty, the fraud, like, oh, these guys are assholes. Just because they're asking the tough questions, he can't answer those because he's fudged everything.
I had a feeling that Tryp was attempting to raise money because it was completely out, and there was potentially somebody that was going to put in $500,000 into the company. And I'm doing the maths here. I'm adding up the debts that are owed to customer care, that are owed to background check company, that are owed to the software house, that employee back bills. And when you add all of that up, you'll find out that there won't be any money left to actually operate the app. But the claim to the investor is much different, that we can onboard 10,000 drivers with the money that's coming
Teddy
through.
says they will have to
So I'm
forfeit
like,
any
this
assets
person's
to
gonna
pay
go
back the
Apple
investors.
without
The only
no way
assets
that I
Bob
can
really
say
has is a house
I separated
down in Orange County. I already looked it up, and it's registered in somebody else's name. I was checking what type of assets the guy has. There's nothing. It's just all just smoke and mirrors. He's burned through so much money and he's been in so many lawsuits. His sort of scams just keep him going from year to year. But if you look at how he's deteriorated, you look at him optically over 3 years, how he has his physical appearance, how he's withered down. I mean, he almost looks like he has cancer, right? Because this is changing his cellular DNA, is changing his structure, because he's so involved in all this karma, all of these lies, right? Just lying all over the place here. And here it is. The pack of cards came down.
So,
Hey, are you guys off?
Now we've talked about this quite a bit. I'm going to take a second here and go through the YouTube.
Yeah. Look, I have one too.
Go through the comments on YouTube. And
Bring your bunny over here.
Guys, so
No, these are our bunnies.
No, that was mine.
We both have bunnies. These are
That's
our
my
bunnies now.
bunny.
No, they're our rabbits.
That's my Torsten. You ate my candy.
No, this is.
Torsten.
Thanks, Chris. Meanwhile, Bob living the life in Vegas.
Are you guys going out?
Now, look. I don't
Look,
wanna
you look pretty. Why are you all
share
dressed
more
up?
Facts about this.
Woo,
We're
Easter.
gonna have Torsten in a half hour. We're gonna be doing a meeting on the
so-
TV.
A meeting.
All the
One
family.
of the
Oh,
things that
nice,
was really
nice, okay,
disturbing
Are you
cool.
live streaming?
You know,
I'm live streaming, but I can stop for that. This is just an interesting story. We're participating at a funeral of a company here. This is a company that that I went to like 2 years ago, and I looked at, I had a meeting with them, and knew right away a bunch of frauds, and the whole Ponzi scheme. This was an MLM, came down today,
However,
falling
when
apart.
you're running a company,
You're getting a lot of love to Laura. Hello, Laura. Hello, Laura.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello. Come say, oh, hello. Say hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Is this mine? Whoop, whoop. Oh my God! Look, I got a frisbee for. Mwah. I got a frisbee for Easter. Yay! Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. This is Taha Abassi dancing now. Da-na, juggling the eggs. Da-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Vegas, life in Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Happy Easter, Jay. Much love to everyone. Do we have any hearts there? Do we have any chocolates for the room? Do you have a chocolate for me, a Cadbury's?
Guys, now we're going to take some questions. Do you want to pull up the email?
Yeah. I mean, one of the main questions that I've been seeing perusing this email list, got a lot of questions from you guys, and there seems to be one general underlying question: how do we get our money back? And that's a question that I've been receiving quite a bit from people who aren't getting responses from anybody at Tryp.
So we go, how can you get your money back?
Contacting the executives directly, or Bill, or anybody at the company. Nobody's getting an answer back.
Nobody gives you an answer.
Money back. How we do that?
Here's an example, and I'm going to share with you again. We're going to get into like
you join a class section.
It's stuff we're making up, right? So you can see on my screen. I'm going to make this a lot bigger. So let's zoom into this. This is just one example of the multiple messages we've got.
These guys are not giving the answers, man.
Walter Crespo, right? And this is what we're dealing with. Like, because people...
They ask, how can you join the lawsuit? How can you get the money back? They're unable to answer that. They back off from that the question. They got to come in here prepared and say, hey, we have a class action lawsuit filed in the Superior Court of Santa Ana or Los Angeles. I guess it'll be in Santa Ana because that's where Robert McNulty is registered in that district. Here is the lawsuit. You can attach your names to that lawsuit as does 1 to 5,000. This is what I want to hear from these guys. But, you know, when you're moving in the techie world, in the technical world, they don't understand that business aspect. So, come on.
I said to him, I was like, hey, I left the company.
You left the company.
For the refund already. You know, I kind of listed back to like the fact I've left the company and I can't really help you. And so he goes on to say, I've been trying for months. Everybody's playing ping pong. They tell me to talk to this person, that person. So how are you going to help? So I had to just tell him, hey, dude, just sign up for the call and we'll kind of talk
Walk
about
around like peanut butter.
We're going to hit on this a little bit right now. I know a lot of you are asking. So let's, right, so Professor, one of the things that you're talking about is a class action lawsuit. That's definitely one route to go. But the problem, the reason these people tend to get away with stuff like this is because of how our legal system is designed a little bit, right? I'm just moving the chat here.
Correct.
So I can see it easily, guys. So the way our legal system is designed is you have to kind of make sure that there's enough money on the other side to file a lawsuit. It was very hard for me to make a decision when I'm owed, tens of thousands of dollars in expenses and salary to file a lawsuit. This lawsuit cost me over $30,000 just to file a lawsuit to fight against the defamation stuff that they put out and the different other items that they put out. So now there's a good chance that I probably won't get any money out of this because Tryp doesn't have any money. Tryp, the company, doesn't have any money, right? And this is a fact because they haven't paid any employees and barely can pay their summer bills. They're completely out. So you have to kind of break the corporate veil and go after the people that.
Don't leave us, Betty. Why is their live feed down? Come on, guys. I'm going to refresh that. think my live feed is up. Their live feed is down, so it's not a YouTube issue. It's an issue on their side. Here we go. Maybe they're coming back now. Guess who's back? Come on, boys. Come on, boys. Let us down.
One that was made by Jeff Aronson, who after he said these things, still considered working with Bob in the future and pretty much signing on for the same role the previous CFO who had gotten screwed over because he was the signee on all the documents. He pretty much signed on for that same role. So
Right.
you want to kind of dive
So we have this. When we were trying to dig around for information to find what we could submit in our lawsuit, this is the difference when this is a way you can identify a person's character, right? Like they try to dig around dirt on me, and they dug hard, and they couldn't find any. Versus you search like Bob's name, and there's like people coming out of the V's. Like as soon as we posted this, people started messaging me like, I have videos that Bob doesn't want me to
former
reveal.
employees from like way back were reaching out.
Yeah,
Right.
that's good. People are coming
We've got
forward.
Facebook groups that have been reaching out.
They're like, we all want to sue him, but we never could.
Look
And
at this thread right here.
we'd be happy to join the lawsuit. And it's just like there's so many people that are willing to come out. And you know, the time of reckoning is here. It's time for justice to serve. So when you kind of look at this document specifically, it actually talks about a story that's very similar to what's happening right now. So there's an article on TripRiseLawsuit.com.
Go back, Taha, Sarah. Bob wouldn't even know how to hack his own toilet, man.
Called BoomJ, which was also then later known as
And
Beyond
we're back.
Commerce. Then it was also known as Local AdLink and Kaching.
Frisbee time.
Right? And it turns out it's like a whole story you can get into. Now we're going to make a separate video that gets into the detail about that specifically. But right now I want to talk about official court documents. Now this, if you notice the website, I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. Here, I'll zoom into that so you can actually see it. I'm going to zoom in.
And this was all stuff that like you kind of have to dig fairly deep for. So, you know, people might ask like, why didn't you guys do your research before you joined the company? Well, we did. Like, you know, we typed in Bob McNulty in Google.
Well, you just said it. Why didn't you do your research before you joined the company? There was so much stuff there. The writing was on the wall, and these guys still joined the company. Anybody that took on any type of senior position should have done their homework. I mean, I went down there to listen to their bullshit pitch for 90 minutes, and it stunk. It really did. Eric, Bishop, all of these guys. Bishop saying, oh, he's going to go to a meeting with this actor, that actor in the evening. He's going to be with Leonardo DiCaprio. I asked another actress on the day, is there such a person that manages blah, 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 and is throwing a big party, an event party? And she said, no, I mean, I can find out there's nothing going on. So Bishop was giving this big smoke and mirrors of this party that he was going to attend later, privately meet with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's all blah, 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 blah. Eric was blah, blah, blah. Look at the offices that we have in Vegas, and he brings out these, he cut and pasted from an actual Apple studio, like from an Apple office. This is our this is the building in Vegas. These are the offices. It was cut and paste from Apple. From an Apple store.
BoomJ failed to pay payroll taxes, right? So let me pull up the exact part. This is exactly what you guys can do to search this, as well as the search for the keywords of what you want to look
This is a complete waste of time here. They're going over lawsuits.
There's like $1 amount
that people filed in 2016 against certain members of TRYP. This has nothing to do with TRYP. Make your case with TRYP, right? Show how these guys defrauded the drivers. Show them what legal steps they can take. Show them which class action lawsuits they can join, right? But you're dealing with techie guys. They're going to take you on a wild. This is all evidence for the courts. This is not evidence you put out here in a live stream. This is just scare tactics. Hey, what they're doing right now is scare tactics. Hey, we have all of the stuff on you guys. You need to settle with us too. Whereas their role should be, they need to make it into a class action lawsuit, withhold all of this evidence, and just show the very, very basics, right? But
right?
they're showing all their
So
cards.
in this case,
This is
not
like
being
a
CFO
poker player showing all his
for
cards.
something to the
This
tune of,
information is withheld. You don't share this,
91,000 on this
right?
penalty,
So what they're doing is they say,
188,000
listen, you pay us, or we're going to use this information against you. It's not extortion. It's not extortion because they're not using the terminology, hey, if you don't pay us, we're going to show all of this evidence. They're doing it in a subliminal way. They're coming out here doing a big live feed showing all the evidence, thinking that Bob and Rhett and Eric are going to be scared now and they're going to settle up with their private lawsuit. They should make it way, way bigger than that.
Is that all of that?
So Donnie says, I hope they hunt down that Greg guy and put his ass in jail. Oh, God, that guy. That's the guy that him and his cronies started making the threats from Miami. I took that fight to Greg, figured out who Greg is, where he stays, which condo in Miami, right? And then exposed that guy. And he really started backing off when, you know, you bring that same energy back to them and they get scared, right? Because these people, what they do is they do things with bully. It's a classic schoolboy bully syndrome. We'll bully. We'll get this out of them. We'll get this out of them. We'll extort these guys. We'll bribe these guys. We'll bully.
And he doesn't have to worry
More
about
like the
it.
mafia,
Jeff's
but
the one signing for it. And Jeff's, not saying no.
Right. And it's insane.
yeah, Nightjack is good that you didn't do it. Look, the worst case scenario is that they took you for $149. That's the worst case. Like they didn't take your house, didn't take your car.
George Persklow was a CEO, and Mark Knopke was a CFO at BoomJ. And Mr. Persklow testified that he was the chief executive officer and president of BoomJ. Mr. Persklow testified that he formed BoomJ with Mr. McNulty. And
BoomJ. Look, this is
what he said. He says,
Robert McNulty. If you look at how many LLCs and companies this guy has formed over 20 years, you'll understand who he is. Nobody comes up with this idea, makes money, runs. Comes up with this idea, this LLC puts it out there, makes money, runs. Comes up with this idea. So once you do some researching, which I showed the guys in one of my first videos in 2018, 2019 on Tryp, when we started exposing who Rob McNulty, a lot of people did not want to listen, right? The writing was on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. There was so much out there.
Co-founder of the company, guys, check this out. So this is the co-founder of the company, the CEO of BoomJ, a previous company Bob has been at. Now this is the difference between someone who is like, there's information out there that like, oh my God, can't believe that this is going on, right? Versus
I don't know the real numbers, but that's interesting. Go, Donnie. Where are you getting those numbers from? 4 million. I made some estimates 4 to 6 million. That was my estimate based on people that were registered in Facebook group. I was trying to run some numbers. I think they had about 1/3 of their drivers actually registered on Facebook, which is about 2,000 people. So, I mean, it literally could be anywhere from $4 to $10 million.
If it was staring him in the face, and he wouldn't know it. He wouldn't know it was honesty if Saint Peter himself was delivering it to him. Can you imagine, guys? Can you imagine that? What you have to do to a relationship, to a person, to say something like that about you in an official case with the United States government in a court document that's published online for the world to see. You can actually share this document in the
They
chat.
need to strengthen the case. I'm going to write, as soon as I get the chance to write this here, they need to really strengthen the case
So you guys
by
can actually check it out yourself. I don't know if I
showing
might
people
show
how
you
to
guys.
participate in a class action. The more people you have participating in a class action, the stronger your case
Guys,
becomes.
So Jeff, who's the current CFO, look at the comments that he actually made about working with Bob in the past. So this court document has a lot of information that's actually very, very valuable to understand the dynamic of what's going on, right? Jeffrey.
Where is he? I would really want to say this.
So this is where they're asking in the court documents testimony from employees about Bob's management style. So employee described McNulty's management approach, right? So they're saying, oh yeah, this is interesting. So despite that, Mr. Norfolk continued to work for most. Okay, right there.
Oh yeah.
So,
No, Mr. Nafke can.
in fact, Mr. Nafke had repeatedly
Your job is
continued
to
work for Mr. McNulty despite the
direct
fact
thousands
that
of
he
drivers
also
into a
claimed that
class
he
action
felt
lawsuit
physically threatened by
and
McNulty.
strengthen.
Go back to that voicemail too.
Right. So, guys, this is exactly. You want to play that one?
No. I'm just saying. Remember the voicemail that Bob sent Taha. the next day?
He's threatening
Very
me
intimidating.
with FBI. He's threatening me. I'm going to go to jail, but there's no
His career is gonna be ruined.
right.
Now look at this. This guy continued to work for McNulty after because he felt physically threatened.
The guy, is physically threatened by McNulty, and they work together at Boom J. Now, Jeffrey Aarons, who's the current CFO at TripRise, understand that
He validates this.
from anything we can see, Jeff in the previous company did not really have an executive role. In fact, let's pull up Jeff's LinkedIn role, right? To see what role
Okay,
he
I've
had.
said my
This
bit.
is, let me pull it up. I'm gonna log into LinkedIn, I think. That's fine. 1 second, guys. Let's look at a little bit of Jeff's history and what role he had at the previous company.
This is a video to make these guys look bad. They've already made that case, ladies and gentlemen, in the beginning, right, of that. You guys just tell me when you're ready and I'll tone it down. They've made their case. They've showed these guys, hey, we have everything on you. They could do that in the first 30 minutes. Now they need to concentrate on the pitch to the drivers. This is how you need to join. I would have hoped they would have been more prepared with the legal side, right? Their strength would have been right now if they had an attorney next to them who said, hey, these guys initiated the lawsuit. We have all the evidence in the world. You know, everything. We have everything. So that'll make them shit themselves. Now we need thousands of drivers to join in. But they're making it about the two of them, how they were victimized in the company, how they want settlements, how they want to get their salaries out, right? Whereby their calling is much greater. Taha Abassi, your calling, and your friend here, your calling is much greater than this. So that's my suggestion. If you can reconvene, do another live show, bring in the attorney, 10% of the video on evidence. You have it all. You don't have to show them all your cards. And then make the video about the attorney directing the drivers to come on board to strengthen the case.
2006? So let's look at what was Jeff's role around that time. He doesn't even have Beyond Commerce listed on there, right?
I mean,
so
you wouldn't want that listed after this.
right. So it looks like he has some roles over here, but he was a controller at this company, general manager controller, which is not an executive level position from anything that I can tell. So he was a controller all this time. And if you're a CFO, you typically don't go on to become a controller. You're a CFO or director in another company. So then he's mentioning, let's kind of go into what Jeff says about Bob's employment and management skills, right? This is the current CFO of Tryp, by the way. So he mentions in this official core document saying McNulty's management approach is management by bullying. Joanne Stiff, who's also another employee at Boom J, said McNulty's management style is not very good. So just look at, you can kind of explore this document yourself, guys.
I mean, I'm looking at this too much from a business point of view, but I think what we really need to do is look at how do we.
Let me see if there's another comment from Jeff. I think this is.
Isn't that what he said?
Oh, yeah, here. Oh my God. Okay. So,
their job should be to
it's not real. It's like
get justice for all these thousands of drivers. They have all the evidence. They need that they could hand over to thousands of drivers, Tryp drivers that signed up. And a class action attorney would take this case all day long. They have all the evidence. But here they are using this evidence to get their attention, which they have. Tryp guys are watching this, right? And there's a far bigger calling here, which they're missing right now.
Money, you should be like, tell people that, like, we're a startup and we need to raise funds.
Tryp Rides Tuber says that's what I want to know. Good. So I have a driver participating here. There he is. He's seeing my point. Like, okay, what do we do? What do we do for the drivers now? What do we do for the drivers affected? Do not make this personal.
would Mr. McNulty
Make
use loud,
it
loud
a
voice
far
for the United States government?
greater
asking this?
calling.
And Jeff answers, you could hear Mr. McNulty screaming
Umbrella
from down the
case
hall, and
for-
we've definitely seen that. Like, would he use profanity? And it's like frequently. Mr. Stiffer testified, I don't know if it will be management by bullying, but I think it was more unrealistic promises.
Well,
made.
remember I just said bullying. Management by bullying is using the words right there.
I don't think
Tommy's in the house. How are you, brother? How's the family?
So it's just again like a lot of
There are
it.
certain people that, Jeff
Yeah.
is definitely someone who seems to have gotten bullied, and if it's any indication of what's happening now, Jeff's probably on the line, and he probably feels threatened. Just from my observation, what I'm able to see, he probably feels threatened, and he's not combating Bob when he says, "No, I'm not going to pay these bills."
I mean, it's like me personally, he would not bully me. I feel like that isn't that what bullies do? Though they identify who they can take advantage of.
Of course, yeah.
And like, if you come after me, I'm going to straighten you out real quick. Like, you're not going to go around acting in inappropriate behavior, right? But there's people who can't always or may not know how to take a certain stand and not risk their job or not risk their profession. And he's taking advantage of that, in my opinion, and observation.
Yeah, exactly.
All
Steve
right.
Lowe, good job
So
coming
let's
from
get
a
into
driver.
it. We've been on for like freaking 2 hours and 20 minutes, guys.
And there's everyone's still on. I mean, it is kind of a.
Thank you guys for spending time with us on Easter. I mean, like,
They missed a great
holy
opportunity.
smokes, it's
Sorry.
corporate thriller, and I'm sure everyone's just glued.
They
right
missed a
now.
great
Happy to bring it.
opportunity here.
Well, let me take some of the questions from here and kind of pull it up. Why don't you pull up the questions from the emails that have been submitted?
I mean, okay, so let's go back to how people can get their money back.
How am I?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Okay, so we're talking about how you can get your money back, right? So let's go through like typical scenarios.
It's only one scenario.
Jose, you're absolutely right. Let me address this real quick before we get the money back. So you are absolutely correct, Jose. The energy will be way better spent not doing this and actually building a company that helps drivers get a fair chance.
But first and foremost, like, there are still people out there, and it freaking breaks my heart, like, seeing the amount of money people are putting into this company still, what they're sacrificing. People are quitting their jobs, leaving the towns that they live in to go live in Miami and New York. Like, before this, whatever can be done to solve these drivers' problems, we got to solve this problem first of people getting taken advantage of. And, like, I just can't sit by and watch people investing thousands of dollars. That's how one dude said he invested $20K. Like, people were flying people out to Miami. People, like, quitting their jobs and telling their friends and family and putting their reputation on the line. So, like, that needs to get solved first.
You look at Jerry, right? Jerry, I remember when Jerry texted Eric. Eric was actually in my house, and Jerry said, "Hey, dude, I'm quitting my job because I'm going to win this contest."
The
right?
contest.
And I'm sitting over there thinking, like, dude, this contest has been put out, and the company has no money to actually fund it because the contest makes it look like you're going to make $10,000 in like
Where's that
the
money
first
coming
month. And like here, the company
No,
hasn't even paid.
They wouldn't be able to
employees.
join
He couldn't pay
local
freaking
drivers.
bill to stay online. He couldn't pay his federal
These
bill.
guys,
So
their
promising
names are
contests.
blacklisted,
Yet
dude.
people, innocent people like Jerry, by the way, and this is again, it tells you like how much they care. They brought Jerry on a couple of calls previously. Jerry is Phoenix Walker. For those of you who don't know, like they were talking to people about like how Jerry's done this awesome job of like putting a barrier so that he could still drive in Corona, and that's the kind of people that no one's standing up for. Like Jerry is someone who really represented Tryp. He would play his Eye of the Tiger Rocky music. He would be out there, like he would sign up riders left and right. He would spread the word, and it's so freaking disheartening that Jerry left his job and thinking he was going to make money from Tryp when the reality was Tryp couldn't even afford to pay his own bills. So Jerry, that's why we're doing this.
And Jerry, you wrote me yesterday saying you still got money sitting in your back office. You haven't been paid any of that money. That money was supposed to have been paid by now. Like, so all these people saying they've got money sitting in their back office. When were you supposed to get paid for that?
Guys, I helped build that system. I'm telling you that
Doesn't matter. We understand you built the system. This is honestly is missing the chance here. It's not about their ego. They're feeding their own ego. This is about, hey, this happened. Here's the evidence. Here's the solution. Here's the case number for the lawsuit to join. Here's the name of our attorney. That's
Now,
it.
Going back to the point that Jose made, that the energy would be better spent helping create a new company that actually solves this.
No.
Yes, sure, it would be. But the issue is that who stands up? The basis of the new company should be standing up for drivers' rights.
And
standing up
you
for drivers
starting a new
together,
company,
standing up for what's
you
fair,
and you
standing
have
up
the
for what's
virus
right.
in the company.
How can
This
you do that if
Yep.
you know that new drivers
What do you need-
every
what do you need
day
to do?
are getting screwed over by thinking that they're signing up for a company that's already doing that,
Take it.
which is representing itself as a driver-first company, right? So I
Take
can
it.
morally say that, yeah, let's go out and support a new
Put it on the
cause,
top. Huh?
and support a new cause and sort of ignore the fact that more people are getting screwed over. So yeah, maybe we will look into starting a new company and we will probably look at doing it properly. But
No,
we have to stop this
focus
smell that's been
on
done or
the
this
class
waste that's been done and a lot of
action
people falling into it, right?
lawsuit, not
So let me address
on
one more thing,
your-
Professor. I want to address this point right now because now
here we go.
now is the time where we kind of sort of settle these issues as well. So the issue between what happened, I think everybody kind of all over YouTube kind of got into this sort of back and forth and fights with a lot of Tryp influencers, and a lot of people got into fights back and forth with Greg because Greg is one of those guys like super passionate, he gets aggressive, so on and so forth.
Not scared of
to be
Greg.
clear, once again, I'm not with Tryp anymore, so I have like nothing in stake here, but I'm still the kind of guy that wants to set the record straight, right? Greg is a guy who was honestly trying to promote Tryp in the best way that he knew possible. He got aggressive at times, and you can ask Greg himself, I held him accountable for that. I said, hey man, even though you're not part of Tryp officially, you're not part of corporate, people think that you represent Tryp, so you need to do it more professionally. But also people attack Greg. So at this time, I want to direct our attention to what's important. I don't want us to sort of get into a fight, the rideshare professor versus Mark from Uber Hints versus Entrepreneur versus Greg. I want all of us to sort of come together and hold people accountable. This includes Greg. We're going to need more and more people to tell the truth. Greg is a good person. I've met him in person.
Yeah, we kicked it all the time. Greg's the man.
Right. But all of us, none of us are perfect, right? Professor, I'm sure you're an amazing person as well, but you also get bad. Like earlier this call, I talked about how I got upset with Eric. That doesn't mean I hate Eric. Eric, there was just that instance where I also lost my cool. And so I don't think that Greg is a bad person, and he was not part of Tryp. He's not an official in an official capacity partner, but he did the best that he can in the place. And Greg, again,
Okay.
I know both of you guys are talking about,
But that's only after Greg got put in place, right? So he tried his aggressive bullying and he got put in place. So nobody's perfect. I'll give him that.
We do this partisanship. It's worth nothing. Right. And I know you guys are having fun. Dave and Ricer, Professor Greg, all of you, come on, man.
We're not.
Get along because you guys have a responsibility. You guys are the voice for
We are
right,
looking
right?
for
You guys have a
direction
responsibility
on
to help save
the
innocent people,
class
sort
action.
of
suit.
get together, right?
We
So not to
are
attack each other
not
back and forth. So
here.
that's all I'm going to say on this topic, and hopefully we can be greater than ourselves and set the record straight here. Okay, so let's kind of get into some of the other questions that are coming through. What else are we getting?
Well, we still need to address people getting their money back.
Yes, okay, that's what we're gonna do. We keep getting off track from that. All right, so why class action lawsuit? That in fact the Rideshare Professor and a couple other people have brought up as well. So when you do a class action lawsuit, you have to figure out how you can get money out from somebody to pay people, right? So if you take a class action lawsuit against a company that doesn't have any money, almost no lawyer is going to pick that out. So you almost have to figure out what's the next best thing that you can do. There are other ways that people can get refunds. One is obviously contact Tryp. If you want to get your money, contact Tryp to get it back. Now, obviously, that's not been very helpful in the past. Well, if I purchase something from a service, let's say I purchase a subscription and I didn't get what I deserve, then what can I do to get my money back? Well, I can call my credit card company and bank to actually tell them, dude, these guys, they said that they were going to deliver product and service to me. It never got delivered. What did you pay for? If you're a driver, you paid for the driver app to be able to drive. If you
paid for background checks, we'll have all these as sources on the page, so you can show that they never paid for the background checks.
Right.
So when you say that they were saying they were going to pay for a background check, well, they never paid the background check company. So you have some sort of
You can
True,
use
right?
the links, you can use this video, you can use documents to submit information to your bank and try to get what's called a chargeback, right? You can dispute the charge on your actual credit card and bank statement, and that's probably your strongest way to get your money back. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you should do for Tryp because they're probably going to come after me for encouraging people to do chargebacks. What I'm saying is, if I wanted to get my money back for a service that I didn't receive, the fact is that I can either ask for a refund from that company or I can dispute the charge with my credit card company and they will return me the money as long as I can provide evidence that I didn't get that product or service. Now, does that mean that we shouldn't do a class action lawsuit? Absolutely not. I think we should still do a class action lawsuit. One of the ways that you can do that is right now, if you go to TrypRightsLawsuit.com, click on live event and you submit your information there, we will have all of the emails ready that we're going to hand off to attorneys that will probably work with folks like the right chair professor, will work with the attorney generals to get those emails over to those folks, and we'll probably reach out to you, say, have you requested a refund? Have you gotten that refund? Have you not? We'll assist in finding the right people to get the lawsuit started. I'll probably put up a separate page that's dedicated to the class action lawsuit part on the Tryp Rights Lawsuit website as well. But how do you find out about that? Is you make sure you subscribe to this channel, and you also, hopefully, Professor and Mark and Greg and Yalansi and Dave, you guys will allow us to come on your channels to speak to your audience, do a Q&A like this, and help them get the word out about how they can get their money back as well if they want, or also tell the truth about what's going on with Tryp. So that's sort of how you get your money back. If you have any questions about what I just suggested, go ahead and add them in the comments. But in the meantime, we're going to move on to other questions that we're getting. Can you pull up some of the questions from the emails?
Yeah.
And I'll go through the comments here, guys, and look at what else we want to talk about. So, Trey, I just answered the question about how to get the money back. One is, call your credit card company if you can.
So many people are saying, like, why wasn't so many of these questions that I received in the email have already been answered, but we can kind of touch on some of it again. Like, why wasn't the technology ever ready? Well, and someone asked, did we ever have 40 developers? Like, I think you had mentioned the Dave Uber site that we had 40 developers at one point. At one point, we did have close to 40 developers. That was for a very short window of time, and we had to scale back the development team quite a bit because we weren't paying them. The last time the development team got paid was what? September?
The last time developers got paid, no, November 22nd was the last payment. Yeah.
November 22nd was
But
the
there's
last.
past due bills from work done in September, so the bill is actually due from September.
Guys, they didn't even pay the initial deposit
until August 21st. The initial deposit wasn't paid in full until 4 days after the Miami launch. It's insane.
Right. And Taha was paying the developers just to keep the app going out of his own pocket. You paid what, $23,000?
I paid $13,000 in October. I paid $10,000 on December 31st, I believe, because no one else was willing to pay any money. And it's like, how do you continue to build an app? If we're trying to launch New York, how do you continue to do that?
Yeah, so the way tech works, is like you have to be able to scale your development team in order to be able to handle the volume that we were hoping to handle in a market like New York or Miami. So we can't make those payments to that development team. We can't add the necessary qualified individuals who are really good at certain aspects of development. You're having people kind of overlap into different roles. And
is there still coffee left?
Super thin. You can't really get the goal accomplished.
Okay, this is a good question coming up. What happened in Miami? So, guys, let's get into that a little bit.
Miami, dude.
How about getting paid for all the time you spent, all of the expenses? So, I'm gonna pull up. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up this question right here, Trey, from you.
They didn't get any money. That's the problem. These guys didn't even get paid towards the end. They probably the way Rob McNulty and Rhett did it, they probably had these guys even put money in. So they bought into this fictitious.
If you guys noticed, I was actually going on YouTube channels. I went on the Entrepreneurs channel on Mark from Uber Hints. He's now Mark Travel Time. I did some chats with the right chair professor defending Tryp and like how Tryp's actually making good changes because that's what I believe to be the case. However, behind the scenes, what's happening was extremely, extremely discouraging, right? So let's kind of get into what happened there. So let's kind of look at the Miami situation, and I'll share my screen on this. And again, this is all available at TrypRightsLawsuit.com, guys. So in Miami, and this is the insane thing, right? Nick hit on some of these points already. We have an article here that says Tryp Rights wants to pay 100% of the fare to drivers but had no way to do it.
Right.
So you can actually click on some of the links that are in here right now. We're going to do a separate video that's going to talk in detail about this. By the way, we also have a podcast that we're going to be launching by tomorrow, and it's called Tryp FRAUDS Lawsuit, of all things. You'll be able to find it in a couple of days as it propagates on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, and anywhere where you listen to your podcast. We really want to make sure we get the word out. So this is this right here is some detail about what was happening in Miami. So Tryp FRAUDS, this is the payment provider, by the way, that was actually supposed to be providing the driver merchant accounts to actually be able to take ride requests in Miami, right? So what's happening in Miami? By the time we were doing the launch event, because Bob McNulty actually forced us to, he had a tendency, in my opinion, observation, to continue to make agreements and contracts that we couldn't really live up to. And that's exactly what happened in this case.
That's a good
I'll
statement.
Zoom out here a little bit so
He's
you guys can see.
Making all of these
Easily.
agreements that these guys
Give me
couldn't
1
live
second
up
so I
to.
can do that. Okay, so the screen should be fully visible at this point. Thanks, Rideshare Professor. We're definitely going to be reaching out to you on this as well. All right, so here's the, I think there's another part of this also shared on the 13 reasons why we left Tryp FRAUDS. So I'll bring that article up as well because both of these will relate together. So just one moment, guys. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for asking the questions. Thank you for standing up. Okay, there it is. And I get into these reasons down here. Okay, so we have making decisions without executive team.
Tim,
Drivers.
peace and much love to you, brother.
Where's the payment provider one?
I'm already out of quarantine
Yeah,
stacks.
it's in this article. It talks
I need
about
more. It's Easter. I got a lot of chocolate today.
issues with the pay- I know it's at the bottom. Payment provider. All right, I have to look for that a little bit later, but let me share the screenshots here right now where we talk about this. So what was happening in Miami is prior to Miami launching, because Bob had, over a phone call, what it seemed like, got us into a relationship with a payment provider that is currently, was in one of the most recent weekly calls, now going to help Tryp make international payments, right? Now, I don't want to defame the payment provider because they do whatever they do decently well. But this payment provider, when we first joined them, they didn't even have the ability to do credit card tokenization. And again, what that means is that we're a subscription-based company, or Tryp was a subscription-based company. So in order to process subscriptions, the credit card needs to be able to take your credit card, and the credit card provider needs to be able to take your credit card information, your credit card number, your expiration date, your name, and be able to tokenize it, encrypt it, and save it in a PCI compliant manner. So as you can see on my screen here, I'll share this part right here. As soon as you got into this engagement, because Bob decided to engage with them, not even doing technical vetting first with me. So you can kind of look at this. I'll zoom out a little bit.
You know what I'm talking about too? PCI compliant.
Yep, we can get into that here in a second. So take a look at this, guys, on my screen. So this is from 8th of July. So I'm talking to this guy who's the representative. Ken, if you guys remember,
8th of July, 2019.
from a couple of days back. And in that call, Ken was actually on that call talking about how they're going to be opening up international payments. This is something they do on a regular basis. Every week, they'll bring somebody else on to distract from the reality of what's going on. This same payment provider wasn't even able to do basic credit card tokenization. And I talk about this here. I say, so coming back to our request, we need an API.
There's so much evidence.
Reusable token, so we don't have to store credit card info, right? Is that easily stable on the YouTube channel? Yeah. Okay. Let me go up a little bit on this.
Cruising limousine.
Right here. Perfect.
Is this a sign
So
that
I'm
all major
saying
rideshare
specifically,
companies
this is what
get to
customer
point
want, and
where
why
they
that-
start
again, am I guiding
imploding?
many of the providers to do a tokenization to ensure that our scope with PCI compliance is limited. So they say this on the 8th of July. right? Now over here, I specifically say Bob got us an
Crop.
engagement with this payment provider and was adamant on using them without conducting any technical due diligence, right? Let me kind of move this a little bit more so that it's easy to see.
Well, they
It's
sure
really
have
important
all
to
their
show
evidence
that
stacked up, right?
the
They're
person
showing
that can
all
do
their
technical
cards
due
right now.
diligence is myself.
But
and
they're
my
showing
team, right? So we have
Rhett,
no knowledge. We already
Bob
know
McNulty,
that
Eric,
we use that.
Bishop, all of
The
those
payment
guys.
provider didn't even have credit card tokenization in place and lacked the ability. So here's another kicker. They couldn't process more than one transaction at a time from a single location. To explain that in an analogy, imagine that you're a store right now, and here's a customer trying to purchase a product. Let's say it's this mug right here, right next to awesome bronze cup. And there's another customer that's trying to purchase the water bottle, right? So this customer starts to pay for it, and there's 3 API calls that happen in that. So the first API call starts to start the payment process, and the second customer wants to buy at the same time. As soon as the second customer's payment starts, the first one fails. So they didn't have the ability to do
Chris
concurrent
Bowman in the
payments,
house.
which is something I would have found out in 15 minutes of technical vetting. So this
Chris
is the kind of
Trip
situation
needs
that
a
you were going
bailout
into
from
when
the
you lost
feds.
your mind,
They're not
so
going to get it. They're not even going to get the keys to the prison cell once they're locked up. They're going to throw those keys away.
Are wondering like why we moved away from MLM is from a technical standpoint because of the fact that we were MLM and because of the fact that Bob, from what he told me, had been kicked out of Wells Fargo and many other
Good participation here, though. I've been reading a lot of the
point.
guys.
We can all let our imaginations work on that. He couldn't get with a proper payment provider. He wouldn't get.
Jose Gonzalez says, once I saw an Uber ad on the Facebook group, has around 8,000 members. That's not true.
And what got much worse is
Don't have
notice
that
that on
many.
July 8th,
Dave's mixing it up in the room. There's Dave,
right
Dave
here
the
on
Uber
July 9th,
slave.
sorry, they're saying, "I'll
Dave
talk on
says,
that team,
does
and we'll
y'all
be able to create
know
new
what's
APIs
going on
for
now?"
tokenization in 48 hours. So now you'll understand all the delays because I couldn't, as a CTO, I recommended that we work with companies like Stripe, that we work with companies like Braintree, because Braintree handles transactions at scale with Uber. Stripe handles transactions at scale with Lyft. I want to give my technology the best chance to succeed. I'm being forced by Bob McNulty, who his technical ability you can be the judge of yourself. He's forcing us to get in an agreement with a startup essentially of payment providers who don't even have credit card tokenization in place. So on 9th of July, I say, okay, thanks. I ask him, are they based in Pakistan? And they are. They go on to tell us how the API will work. They kind of read through that details if you want. I say, perfect. I ask for some more requirements. Now, July 8th, they claim they can deliver the API to us in how long? In 48 hours, right?
48
There's
hours.
July 10th, 48 hours later, right? And I'll kind of zoom down a little bit here because that part is a little bit tricky to zoom in.
I mean, there's the presentation of the evidence is great. But like I say, I'm going to repeat myself like a parrot here. They're showing all the evidence to scare the parties, right? They have a personal lawsuit against them. They're saying, basically, essentially telling them, hey, we have all the evidence. We're going to put it all out there if you don't settle with us right now. These guys want to settle, no doubt about it. But the bigger picture here is that they've already been brave enough to leave the company. They're whistleblowers, right? And they've done an amazing job by doing that. They've had tremendous courage by leaving and exposing this fraudulent company. Now the question is, show a roadmap, show the ways all the drivers that have been affected by this, right? Show them a way out, show them where they can participate, what the case number is, how they can join with a class action lawsuit. And if I can send Taha any advice, he emailed me late last night and he's emailed me throughout 2019. The advice that I can give this gentleman is next round, bring an attorney onto the show. Bring an attorney onto the show and let the attorney talk. Right? Let the attorney connect with all those thousands and thousands and thousands of affected drivers. So they've already laid the foundation. They've showed you we have all the evidence. Now it's time to join, and you let the attorney talk.
I did not advise on. Like I didn't advise to go with the previous background check.
Have the technological capabilities.
It's just,
with what we were trying to
just
do.
understand.
So,
these are tech guys, and I love them. Look, I mean, I didn't love them while they were part of Tryp and selling the Tryp Kool-Aid, but I love them for the fact that they have gone out and been brave enough and have had the courage enough to help thousands of drivers and stand up to that bullying. That's what I love them for, right? And if they have spent tens of thousands of dollars, They should bring that attorney onto the show. That attorney is going to get a lot of new clients. I will be reporting on it if there's an attorney in the middle of them. But now they need to take it to the next step.
So now pay attention to some of these dates here, guys. This is going to blow you away, right?
It's going to blow you away.
Look at the date, August 19th. When did the event in Miami happen? If you don't remember, it was 17th of August. So this is 2 days after that event, and they hadn't provided us even the APIs to create driver merchant accounts for Miami launch. I was freaking out because this is where I'm trapped in, right? This is why I wanted to move.
So put him in this situation. He says, "This is where I'm trapped in."
Stripe would not even allow. Stripe doesn't work with MLMs. Most
See,
scale don't
MLM.
work with MLM.
Stripe doesn't work with them. It's the first time I've heard him say
there's no
MLM.
way a rideshare with MLM, and this is my opinion of what's happening with many other rideshares too, White Rides and many others.
So
they're
you
gonna run into the
are
similar
admitting
in my opinion, from a technological skill
that
standpoint,
this
that Tryp ran.
is an MLM.
and rideshare don't go together. The technological.
There we go.
The technological capabilities just don't add up.
It's what they call high risk.
So if you knew MLM, so if you knew MLM did not go with
So this is insane. Let's read this. This is
rideshare,
Ken, who, again, let me
Taha,
remember who he is.
why did you
He's the
join
guy
the
that came
company?
on a call recently with you guys, talking about how they're going to be able to take international payments and pay people with a debit card, and it's so great, right?
This is what the defendant's attorney is going to ask. If you knew, or if you stated that this was an MLM, and MLM doesn't fit with rideshare, why did you take this position on in the first place?
So deal with it, right? So if there was product that was deliverable, we would have seen it. I wanted to give you, here's what he says, I wanted to give you an honest answer of where everything is at. I know there's been a lot of back and forth, and I don't want you to think we're stalling.
They all work for free. That's the funny thing. Look, in the psychology of a bully will get a lot of people to work for free, right? We know of many situations of this throughout history. Right now, in fact, you know, when you get someone into submission and they are basically from a psychological standpoint and you're bullying them and they see you as the alpha and they see themselves, it's like a cult leader, right? A cult leader will get these people to do anything. Anything.
A full day before a merchant account can be issued, that's great. But
even
says they cannot support
Superman Tampa, thank you. Taha even pulled $2,000 out of his own bank account to pay employees. That just means that he cares about them. And at that moment, he pulled that $2,000. He probably thought, this is wrong. I'm taking my own money to pay people. I need to leave.
Specific elements, right? Professor, great question. Why did I join if MLMs don't go with rideshares? Because I was presented a different story when I first interviewed with Bob. He had all the payment providers, all these issues figured out and in place, just like many other people. We'll get into that in a separate video. It's a phenomenal question. I'll get into that. But in this specific case,
he says it's a phenomenal question.
He goes on to
I
talk
appreciate.
about
I reply. Okay, I appreciate you saying that. But he said it's a good question. It's a valid question. It's a question an attorney will ask.
I would say 5 to 7 days for us to truly complete this integration. So again, he's giving a week, August 19th. He's saying in 1 week, he can give us the APIs to be able to be able to create driver merchant accounts. Right? At this point, I didn't want to believe anything the guy was saying, right? So check this out. What happens afterwards? August 19th, he says 7 days, he can give us APIs.
The company they were working on,
22 days after
who was in Pakistan, has not been paid since August. I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that, Umar and Tampa. I did not know that.
At this point, he had already.
Yeah, the CEO is no stranger to the legal system. He has been in trouble. Yeah, Bob McNulty has a washing list of cases, lawsuits.
There's great companies out there, right? Triple Pressure, you mentioned about Amway and Herbalife and so on and so forth. I'm not even saying anything against the folks who love MLM companies and love to create a future for themselves and have the entrepreneurial spirit that joined Tryp because they believed in the MLM side. I'm just stating the facts from a technological standpoint. It just doesn't connect, right? And that's what I have to state over here, right? So again, I'm going to request that don't go out and attacking all the people that love MLM and supported Tryp because they love the MLM side. Please understand that those people were also tricked, in my opinion, because look at this. Like, right, Professor, you asked that why is it that you joined the company if MLMs don't work? Well, I myself, as smart as I think of myself to be, there was a cover pulled over my eyes, right? So what chance do people have who didn't have the inside information? This is a great disservice that's happening. So, guys, what happened in Miami then? Going back to Trey's question, Trey, you asked about this earlier. Can you take Trey's comment off the screen? Sorry, yeah, let me go ahead and take that off the screen so that you can see this in detail and read it. And I'll pull it up over here so you can read this yourself. So specifically, the reason what happened in Miami.
So you asked, why did I join? And I have to clarify that. I know he's questioning my knowledge of an MLM. I know MLMs. I've been part of MLMs. I've been part of Herbalife. I've been part of Jeunesse, right? I know how MLMs work, and I've seen many MLMs fail. But Raichi and MLM just did not gel in this situation. He then turns the question around against me and says, why did I join MLM? I went to that first meeting where they took pictures of me saying I joined the company, hadn't even joined the company. They were using me and my channel as an endorsement, which was not fact. Hadn't even signed up. I can take you back to the date I went to that meeting. I attacked them and said, you may not use my picture saying that this is an endorsement. It's not an endorsement. And I thought, okay, now I know what these guys are up to. They're just using people to sell their story, which is how the MLM hype works. So I signed up to get into the back, like the spy does, right? Like a KGB infiltrates an organization to get into their system, to understand what these guys were doing. And that was completely worth the $149 for me to have all the dirt on this company, to be on the inside, right? And once you're on the inside, you get a code. Once you're on a code, you get into those Facebook rooms. You needed that code to say, hey, I paid the $49. Otherwise, you wouldn't get into all these rooms. I was in these rooms because I bought my way in to extract the knowledge. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you wrote that on the blog. Yeah. There's an article describing all that in detail, how we didn't even have insurance in Miami, which was why we had to go to New York.
That's a great thing to talk about.
We do have a video about it, but we'll touch on it as well.
Yeah, but the thing to talk about is why Miami. Do you guys want to know? If you guys want to know, but tell us in the comments so we can kind of dictate how this call goes. I know it's 2 hours 49 minutes. There's still 68 of you on there. Feel free to drop off anytime because there's going to be a recording queue. I really said there's not going to be end time because we're still getting questions.
I'm going to be about 5 more minutes because then
be able to answer that, right?
The members of this house have to get into another live stream.
Why did
an
we
Easter live stream
to New York, right? Like, what the heck happened? Well, another thing that we didn't know about at that point, and this is again shared in TripRidesLawsuit.com and the article. In fact, the article that Nick wrote, like Trip Rides gave uninsured rides in Miami. I, as the executive of the company, as the chief technology officer, didn't have any idea that we don't have active insurance coverage, and it wasn't connecting because to make insurance work in the app, you have to integrate with something called Zen Drive, right? And that's not the Zen Drive feature.
All right, my friends, I think they have shown more than enough evidence, right? I think they have used this opportunity at the Tryp Funeral, as I call it, to expose the players, show the correspondence, show the names. I think they've done a great job with that. I will definitely be writing a personal email. I go back and forth with Taha quite a bit. In fact, he was asking if I had any job availabilities, and I didn't want to let anyone, into our world knowing that they came from that virus, right? So he detached himself from the virus, as he explained. Now he gets this golden opportunity, and I would highly, highly suggest he sets up another meeting, right, online, and has an attorney present that then presents to the drivers, thousands of them, this is the game plan, how you get your money back. Okay, we've established this is fraud. Now here are the steps how you get paid, how you get your $149 back. Right, we don't have to overkill it. Gio has always made fun of them, correct. Dave has made fun of them to a certain extent. Kevin has made fun of them to a certain extent. Dustin has definitely made fun of them. I have made fun of them, and we've had a good time. I mean, we've had a good, fun Kool-Aid run with Tryp, right? So I'm going to end this here. Anybody that can rally and give their final thumbs up, I need to get out, need to get going with my day. But happy Easter, everyone. Spend this day with your family. This is a day for the little ones, right? Where the kids where their kids go to get to enjoy themselves and find all the Easter eggs and see what the Easter Bunny has brought. So have an amazing day. Thank you for the 44 likes. Thank you for the time. And again, thank you to these two gentlemen for having the courage to leave and expose these people, right? And do call upon us if you need our support. We're here to support you. And I got to go because they started another live stream in the neighboring room. It's an Easter live stream that they're doing with family members. So keeping it rather low right now. So happy Easter, everyone. Enjoy your Easter eggs. Eat a lot of sugar. Eat a ton of chocolate. Fill your bellies with chocolate, more Easter Bunny chocolate, Cadbury chocolate, Sears chocolate, Hershey's chocolate, whatever chocolate you can find. Just eat it, eat it, eat it. Piles of chocolate today, okay? Love you all. Thank you and have an amazing day, my friends. So it's Sunday, right? I'll catch you on Our House Mondays tomorrow. Enjoy, my friends.